Hello, book people. This is PT Hilton here. I'm here to do a Friday reads and also a little bit of a weekly wrap up. So let's start with what I've been reading last week. So last week I finished two books and got partway through another one. The first book I read was Eleanor by Jason Gurley. This was a beautiful book, and I'm still kind of processing it, to be honest, figuring out. I had a really hard time figuring out like what kind of rating to give this book. Beautifully written, beautiful story. It's basically I guess I would call it a portal fantasy. It's about a girl in our world who discovers sometimes when she walks through doors, she ends up in this other place that she doesn't really understand what it is, where it is, how she's getting there, any of that kind of stuff. The part where I'm a little hesitant about it is that it's such an emotional experience. So much happens in this book. Like early in this book, you guys, there's suicide, there's the accidental death of a small child, and the hits just kind of keep on coming in this book. There's a lot of really sad stuff that happens. So I'm struggling with how much emotional turmoil can a book put me through and still be 5 stars? Because I know this book, as I look back on 2014 and in coming years when I look back, this will be a book that I remember, and this is a book that's affected me and that I will remember reading. But at the same time, wow, it was an intense reading experience. I do recommend it, but just be ready for the emotional turmoil of this book. I do think it's worth it. I really do, but be aware of what you're getting into with the suicide and the deaths and stuff like that. It is an intense reading experience for sure. The second book I read was The Eye of the World, book one in the Wheel of Time series. So a little background on this: I started reading the Wheel of Time series in high school. Back then, I think there was only about 6 or 7 of them out. And if you knew me in high school, I probably recommended it to you. I loved these books so much in high school. But as the years went by and it kept getting kind of longer and longer between each book, I kept, when a new book would come out, I would kind of forget what had happened and I'd have to go back to the old book. The books started getting slower, and eventually I kind of stopped reading the series. So I've decided that I owe it to my old high school self to go back and finish this series. So I'm going to read at least one book of these a month for the next, 13 months. The first book, I will say, was very good. I gave it 5 stars. It kind of put me back in that high school place. I'm not sure exactly how much of it was nostalgia and how much of it was how good the book was, but I really, really loved it. There were a couple things I didn't notice when I was first reading it in high school that definitely leapt out at me now. Stuff about like how women are portrayed in the series and how the relationships between men and women are portrayed in such a kind of like a cartoonish manner that bugged me a little bit in this book. But the story was strong enough to get me through it. We'll see in future editions if that remains to be the case or if that stuff kind of starts to bug me more as I go forward. One other interesting thing about the Wheel of Time is I'm doing it in audio form, and the way the audiobooks are set up, they're set up with 2 narrators. So a male narrator narrates the chapters that are told from a male perspective. A female narrator narrates the chapters that are told from a female POV, which I think is a cool idea. However, in this big long book, there's probably only like 4 or 5 chapters that are from a female perspective in this one. And the first one's not till like over halfway through the book. So I'm sitting there like over halfway through the book, and suddenly this new voice starts talking. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? So that was a little disconcerting, a little surprising. But I do think as the series goes on and there's more female POV, I will like the way they're doing the 2 narrator thing. The last book I started, haven't finished yet, is a book I'm actually reading with my daughter, and that is Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians by Brandon Sanderson. This is a library book, so that's why it's all shiny. I've heard some booktubers talk about this book, and usually the consensus kind of is, yeah, it's a fun little book. Maybe nothing out of this world, but it's definitely worth reading. Well, reading it with an 8-year-old, I could tell you for her, I mean, she's the kind of the target demographic, I'd say, for this, and wow, she loves it so much. Like every joke just hits for her. She's laughing so much when she's reading it. She's really into the excitement of it. Everything about it she just loves. So I'm having a great time with this book too, because it makes me really happy that she's reading this book that I can enjoy with her, and I'm having a great time. I'm thinking about whether to get her the full big, 700-page Alcatraz complete edition or whatever for Christmas. My hesitation is that it's so big that I'm afraid she won't be able to carry it around at school, so I might still just keep getting these at the library for now. So those are the 3 books I read this week. Looking forward to the weekend. I'm going to start, I just actually started reading The Martian by Andy Weir. It's a book that's gotten a lot of discussion, a lot of talk, a lot of praise. It's the story of a astronaut who gets stranded on Mars. The other book I'm going to be reading is the book for the BookTube's Reading Buddies group this month, The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. And I probably just butchered his name. This is an interesting book because I don't know very much about it going in. I know that it takes place in the 1940s in Spain, I think, and I know that it involves someone finding a mysterious book, and I think maybe hunting for the author of that book. That's pretty much all I know about this book. I don't even know really if it's like a straight-up historical novel or if there's fantasy elements in it. I don't really know very much about it at all, so I'm looking forward to checking that one out. That's what I'm going to be reading this week. Let me know what you're going to be reading. I'm also interested to know about my question about how much emotional turmoil can a book put you through and still be a 5-star read. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Bye.